if President Lopez Obrador would invite American military and/or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with his military and law enforcement personnel?
Senator, what I would say from my purview as the head of the DEA...
But is my statement true or not?
What happens when a U.S. Senator finally says what millions of Americans have been thinking? This week, in a fiery exchange, a senator grilled the head of the DEA, demanding to know why Biden's administration refuses to take the fight to the Mexican cartels that are flooding our streets with deadly fentanyl. Was he out of line, or just telling the truth? We're breaking it all down right now. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because here on Liberty Watch, we cut through the noise and tell you what's really going on in America.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Administrator, the two cartels that are sending fentanyl into the United States are located in Mexico, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it a fact that we could stop those cartels in their tracks if President Lopez Obrador would invite American military and/or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with his military and law enforcement personnel?
Senator, what I would say from my purview as the head of the DEA...
But is my statement true or not?
What I would say is that we're focused on the two cartels, who we believe are doing exactly what you say. They are responsible for the fentanyl coming
Let me
into
ask
the
you
United
again.
States.
If President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and/or American law enforcement officials to come into Mexico to work with the same in Mexico, we could stop the cartels, could we not?
Senator, I believe this is a whole of government effort and has to be, including whether it's the military, us, FBI,
Now,
and others.
Madam Administrator, I've listened to you here for almost an hour telling us how bad fentanyl is. Thank you for that, but we know.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you a third time. If President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and/or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with the same in Mexico, we could stop the cartels. Isn't that a fact?
So, Senator, I can speak to the law enforcement side of this, and you just mentioned law enforcement. I believe that this is vital for both Mexico and the United States. Mexicans are dying as well, as we showed in the Chapitos.
Well, then why don't we stop them?
So
would it help? Let me ask you a fourth time. Would it help if President Lopez Obrador, I don't think it's a complicated question, Madam Administrator. You're asking us for more money every year, more money, and it gets worse, worse, and worse. You know, in the real world, the nitty-gritty of the real world, when you fail, you get fired. In government, when you fail, you get more money because obviously you need it. Now, let me ask you a fourth time. If President Lopez Obrador, and I'd appreciate an answer, if President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and/or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with his, we could stop the cartels, couldn't we?
I believe, Senator, that we can stop the cartels.
Okay. Have you made that suggestion to President Biden?
If I could, I believe that we can stop the cartels by...
Have you made that suggestion to President Biden?
Senator, I have been very vocal in the whole of government setting on the importance of fentanyl, and all of us using every single effort and authority that we have.
Why hasn't President Biden done it? I mean, this is the way the American people, whose sons and daughters are dying, look at it. Our economy is $23 trillion. Mexico's economy is $1.3 trillion. Ours is 18 times bigger. We buy $400 billion every year from Mexico. Without the people of America, Mexico, figuratively speaking, would be eating cat food out of a can and living in a tent behind an outback. So why don't you and the president, embarrassing no one, get on the phone and call President Lopez Obrador and make him a deal he can't refuse to allow our military and our law enforcement officials to go into Mexico and work with his to stop the cartels. Why don't you do that?
Senator, what I am doing every single day is working with the incredible men and women of DEA who are risking their lives across 334 offices worldwide.
And I appreciate that, but you're not doing what would work. Why won't you do what will work?
Senator,
why don't you call the president this afternoon and say, Mr. President, let's call President Lopez Obrador privately and make him a deal he can't refuse. Because we both know that President Lopez Obrador has neither the ability nor the will to stop the cartels. But yet we go along and pretend that they're our friends, and Mexico is our friend. But he has criminal organizations that are killing our people, and you know how to stop it, and the president does, and you're not doing it.
Senator, we are working every day to stop it.
But you're not doing what would stop it.
We are transforming, and we are working in countless ways across the globe to do what needs to be done for the American people. And there is nothing that the men and women...
when it's important to you, you make it happen. When it's not important to you, you make an excuse.
You just heard it, folks. A U.S. senator did what too few in Washington have the courage to do. He looked the DEA administrator in the eye and demanded real answers. And what did we see? Evasion, deflection, and the same old bureaucratic nonsense we've heard for years while Americans keep dying from fentanyl pouring across our southern border. The senator laid it out plain and simple. The cartels are based in Mexico. We all know it. They're poisoning our people, destroying families, and destabilizing communities across this nation. And yet, the Biden administration continues to tiptoe around Mexico's corrupt leadership as if they're our allies. The senator's point couldn't be clearer. If Mexico's president, Lopez Obrador, allowed U.S. military and law enforcement to step in, we could stop the cartels in their tracks. The technology, the intelligence, the manpower, we have it all. But what we don't have is political will. Every year, agencies like the DEA come to Congress asking for more money, more resources, more programs. But the results? More overdose deaths, more broken homes, more American kids buried before their time. And the senator hit the nail on the head. In the real world, when you fail, you get fired. But in government, when you fail, you get more funding and more excuses. Let's not forget, our economy is 18 times larger than Mexico's. We buy over $400 billion worth of goods from them every year. Without American trade, Mexico's economy would collapse. That's leverage. That's power. But instead of using it, Biden's administration plays nice with a government that allows deadly drugs to flow across the border unchecked. The senator even said it straight. The president could call Lopez Obrador today, make him a deal he can't refuse, and demand action. But they won't, because this White House doesn't have the backbone to confront Mexico or the cartels. And while the DEA administrator danced around every question, Americans are still dying. Every single day. This is why leadership matters. This is why elections matter. We need people in Washington who are willing to fight, not hide behind talking points. So let me ask you, do you think the U.S. should send military or law enforcement into Mexico to stop these cartels once and for all? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're tired of seeing Washington politicians talk tough but do nothing, then make sure you're subscribed right now. Here on Liberty Watch, we speak the truth without fear or apology.